Alignment action number 4. Consistent communication. How many times have you ever been in a meeting with the senior level and they put a different spin on something that you thought you'd heard differently by somebody else? How many of you all have ever had that happen? Right? Where the communication one day is different than it is the next day, and depending upon who you talk to, it could be totally different. Right?
So it could be the same person.
Could be the same person, yeah, just a different, the flavor du jour, right? Today it's this, right? As a company, as an individual, and as a member of a team, we're accountable for having consistent communication, full stop. We own it. You don't control other people, but you can control yourself. Which means it's the same story, whether you're telling me tomorrow or you're telling Susie Q next week, it's consistent. Okay? Questions to think about. How do we communicate our mission, our vision, our approach, and the metrics consistently? Right? Not different depending upon which organization you're trying to flavor or favor. It's the same answer regardless of who you're talking to. That's a tough one. Especially in corporate America, I get it. But I will tell you, the most successful organizations are transparent at that level. Do we have a consistent message, and do we share it throughout our team? Have we tied and aligned individuals and individual functional responsibilities to that message? That's a tough one. You may have great clarity about the communication and the mission, but you haven't tied anybody's metrics to it. Ugh. Do you think that has any sticking power? I don't know. Feels kind of squishy to me, right? And do people get it? Have you ever been in a meeting or actually led a meeting where you're communicating your message and people kind of look at you and you're thinking to yourself, they don't get it. Has that ever happened to you? Oh yeah, right? So what do you do when that happens? You just talk louder? Louder and, if you scream, maybe they'll get it, right? What if you just said, I get the feeling that maybe we don't get it, or maybe you don't get it. What is it that I'm not being clear about? And don't be afraid to be vulnerable that way. It's amazing how powerful vulnerability can be in a situation like that. When you ask the hard question, you just flat out say, I don't think y'all are getting it. I must not be communicating very clearly. What is it that I'm not saying that I need to be saying? And I promise you, when you open that Pandora's box, you're going to get some responses, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because then you know. Yes?
I was going to say, I do that sometimes. I lead a global team, so I don't see them, but I can hear them, I can hear it, or they're just, when I ask, but sometimes I don't get that because their culture says you don't do that to a leader. So they'll still say they get it, and then I find out like a week later they didn't get it because it's going in this direction.
Right. Has anybody else ever had that happen where they're all the time? So they're smiling and inside they're saying, I don't get it though, right? And you hang up the phone and you're thinking, great call, right? Man, I hit that cover off the ball, and then a month later, they're like in Egypt and you're in Alaska. Right? So what do you do when that happens?
Pull it back in and try again.
Pull it back in and try it again? So here's a thought. Here's an idea. What if you were to ask them to present what they think the direction is?
I've done that too.
You have?
But then you can't.
And then they say, we're going to Egypt. And you go, no, we want to go to Alaska. Right?
Yeah, so I have done that,
Yeah. So sometimes we don't have to have all the answers, by the way, as leaders. I think sometimes we think we do, especially women leaders. We think we have to outsmart everybody in the room. Newsflash, folks. Most powerful thing in leadership is to admit that you don't know. Be vulnerable. I don't know. I don't know why y'all are in Egypt and Alaska, but somehow we had a disconnect. Help me understand. Where do you want to go? What's your rationale for wanting to go there? And then you have to, explain your rationale, and that's how you build consistency and buy-in and all that. But you don't have to have all the answers. Being vulnerable as a leader is one of the single most powerful things that you can be, because what happens? People want to help. And what do they do when they help? They get in the boat with you. And what happens when they get in the boat with you? You're all in it together. And you didn't even have to put them in the boat. They got in on their own. You didn't even have to heave-ho them. They got in on their own. Right? I mean, it's cool. Cool thing. Great question, though.